This is the Amp Hour Podcast, released September 23rd, 2018. Episode 408. Tronnort software rises again.
Welcome to the Amp Hour. I'm Dave Jones from the EEV blog.
And I'm Dave Jones of the EEV blog.
What?
Didn't you get your identity stolen? Didn't I see that online?
Oh, yeah. I did. Damn. I did get my identity stolen. That was quick.
I bought it.
You bought it on the dark web.
I'd like to make a return, please.
It was
Are there
pretty lame
refunds?
ass, wasn't
Are there
it?
refunds on this one? Oh man.
Have you ever had your identity stolen? Oh, well, no, not my identity, but like your personal.
Yeah, some of your info, right? I mean, like,
Right.
I think.
Yeah, but some. But have you ever had enough stolen in one go that it could be used to full on?
Like, did anyone open
identity
accounts
theft?
or anything? No.
No, it hasn't happened. It most likely won't. But but technically there was enough stolen for them to do that. So.
Yeah, that sucks.
There's always been breaches and stuff where your email and password are hacked and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, you just gotta depend on having enough people out there in the world that you're not the likely target.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
I think I'd have an easy time actually proving who I am. So, yeah.
Like they'd have to do like a. I'm Dave Jones, and my voice is my password.
My voice is my passport. Please verify me.
Is that what it is? Yeah,
That's
yeah.
the exact phrase.
I was
from,
talking to
Sneakers.
I was hanging out with Jason Huggins today, and he said he showed that to his 12-year-old who loved sneakers, and I was like, hell
Really?
yeah, that's a great movie. I got to rewatch that.
Actually, yes, it is. It is very PG. Like, is it?
I think
I
so, yeah.
assume it's rated PG. I don't remember any swearing in it or any other. No one gets killed. No one gets.
Yeah, it's pretty tame on those side of things.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, it's actual, like, some security stuff. It's not the best movie, of course, but like,
No, of course,
it's better,
but it's good.
It's held up
I
better
enjoy
than
it.
Hackers, I think.
Hackers never held up
Yeah.
to begin with.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Hack the planet.
Angelina
yeah.
Jolie is,
Yeah. Oof.
Yep.
It's a classic in its own category.
It's even got Penn Jillette in it.
Yeah, that's right. That's
yeah,
right.
as the
He's what
he was the head
computer
hacker
operator?
for the that's right. Have to hack the Gibson. Apparently he's been. Everyone just asks everywhere he goes. Everyone asks him to. Everyone mentions the Gibson.
Not any of his
Hacking
magic
the
stuff.
Gibson.
It's just the Gibson
No,
stuff.
no,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, the Gibson
Poor guy.
stuff. Yeah. Sneakers. Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah. There you go.
Yes. For those who don't know, it's a hacker movie where they steal identity. Well, no, they didn't steal his identity. He had to form a new identity because he was a hacker because he did some hacking stuff back in the day, and they found him out.
Yep.
Well, the mafia found him out. His ex-mate. Oh no, I won't ruin it. Spoiler alert. Anyway, it's very good. It's very good. Yep.
Well, that's nothing we're doing. I mean, I guess I go to security conferences. You don't really do that stuff. I don't really know what I'm doing when I go there.
Well, there's
but,
nothing here. Like, I'd go to this shit if it was actually here.
Oh,
But what
that's
am I
a
going
good
to do?
point.
Fly to America to go to a conference for a day?
Yeah, man.
I mean, sure.
'You'll get bored enough eventually. That's what I think.
40 hours of travel for an 8-hour conference.
That's
For
right.
a one-day conference. Yeah, it makes sense.
Yep. Speaking of conferences, I got a couple coming up I wanted to mention. Next week, I will be at Open Hardware Summit. I will actually be hanging out with former guest. Prior to that, I'll be hanging out with former guest and an actual hacker, Colin O'Flynn.
Cool.
That's next week. But then I'll be down in Boston at Open Hardware Summit. So looking forward to seeing people there. And then I just found out I will be going to Hackaday SuperCon, which is in early November, and I'll be giving a talk there about what was it? I have a talk title here somewhere.
It's completely riveting, folks.
Yes. Improve
Yeah,
your
you gotta-
circuit
yeah.
toolbox. Simple designs that will save your next product. So things that are like, protection circuits and
Right.
just indicator LEDs and simple stuff like that. But just
Yep.
having a toolbox of stuff, because we all need that. Like I'm sure you have circuits like
Cool.
that too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So this is your former conference?
Yeah, the one I helped set up. I helped organize it in years past.
And now he
so-
has to beg to go, folks.
That's right. Yeah.
It was
Right,
like, yeah, I've
"Please let
been
me in.
accepted. I've been accepted.
Please let me in. Yeah. Gotta keep the world abreast of where you're gonna be, or else you can't be sad when nobody's like, "Oh, I didn't know you were
Right.
there."
Yeah.
I think it's actually important. You gotta kind of let people know before you're gonna be there, or else you have no legs to stand on.
Right.
I'm gonna hopefully keep brainstorming new things on my blog, but I actually wrote a blog post about the humble.
Text blog post.
I know, right?
Wow, old school. Oh,
As
and
old
the
school
analog life?
as sneakers. Yes, that's right. That's right. Yeah, the humble indicator LED. So wrote about that. So if you want to read about LEDs, yeah, riveting.
Woo. Can we talk about Mike's LED flasher?
Oh, I
you
I
seen
didn't
his video?
watch the video yet.
Oh,
I just saw that.
well, it's only
slid by.
30 seconds long. Yeah.
Okay, but it's very
Yeah.
tiny. So what was it?
Well, he says, the world's smallest LED flasher. Have they got that project again? Have they? Has it been a year since the last LED flasher project?
You talking about the blinking light contest?
The blinking light contest. Yeah.
Did
Did he do it for that? I don't know. Or is he just
there
anyway?
was
He
blinking
made it
light
for Maker
contests.
Faire.
I know that Macrofab was doing an LED contest as well. I'm not sure which one it was for though.
Right.
So
Right. Okay. I didn't know. Anyway, he's going to show it off at Maker Faire. Yeah, the world's smallest blinking LED, and basically all it is a ceramic. These are quite nice. A ceramic super cap. Yeah, probably an Epcos or a Takeo. I don't know how to pronounce it. I never know how to pronounce it. Takeo Yearden or something brand. Anyway, they make these little ceramic super caps which look like crystal oscillators. The little 5x7 ceramic oscillators that we're used to.
Yep.
Right? It looks basically similar sort of ceramic package to them, but it's like got a 10,000 mic in there of super cap. Very nice little surface mount job.
So just for like really really long blink delay, or just for charge storage?
Oh, for really long blink delay. No, for charge storage, for like CMOS battery backup and stuff like that in products.
Okay.
But so instead of using a battery or a more traditional super cap, which is in a leaded through hole type round circular package and stuff like that, this is just a 1206 compatible, reflow compatible, pick and place machine compatible.
Oh, nice.
Package.
Okay.
Yeah. So you just drop it in as one of the other surface mount parts, and Bob's your uncle.
Great. Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah.
So, these are very nice little parts. And
I meant to go back to what I was saying. I was saying how
right.
Mike was using it, not necessarily how most people use it.
It's a physical. Well, his whole thing's about physical implementation. It's got nothing to do with the circuit. It's a physical thing. So he's got that crystal. A couple of millimeters by a couple of millimeters, right? It's like a 12, not a 1206, but a 1210 or an 1812 package or something. And then on top of that, he's put a little 5-pin SOT23 micro of some description, I don't know what, and then a bypass cap and it'd just be probably a bypass cap, and then a LED, a little 0402 LED or something, and it's all like packaged in this little cube, so it just sort of sits on the end of his thumb. It's kind of cool. Yeah.
I was introduced to people who were at DEF CON may have seen my little add-on badge thingy. It looks like a video camera. And it was meant to be like a, my getting to Blinky, right? Basically, I'd done this 555 circuit, whatever, all these times, and basically I just worked on the art, and I threw the circuit on the back, not really looking at it. Get it back from the fab, doesn't work at all. Turns out I just hooked up the schematic completely wrong because I didn't look at it. Right, so that was my V0, and I was like, I'm going to throw out like 100 boards, and I didn't want to do that. And then someone told me they actually make LEDs with blinkies. With just a blinking circuit internal to it, so it's an 0603, no, maybe 0805. What?
You do realize you're about maybe 35 years too late on that news?
Oh yeah, of course. I'm not saying this because it's news. I'm saying this because it was news to me and maybe news to people listening. Sure, yeah.
Right. They've been around since I was a kid, little flashing.
Yeah,
leads.
exactly. That's how they make like super cheap toys and everything, right? It's like how you make,
yeah, exactly.
So, but just in case people hadn't heard about them, so I don't know.
Yeah, so the whole idea is that, the standard 5mm, leaded lead package, right? What are they? I never remember the official package designation. What is it, like L1 or something, or L3 or something? Yeah. I don't know. Anyway, they do have a name. It's not just 5mm lead package. There is some description for it.
Official looking
thing, which nobody ever uses, I guess. Anyway, I'm sure you'd find on DigiKey. Oh, speaking of which, remind me to segue into DigiKey straight after this. I won't go off on tangent now. And so they made these like the standard 5mm ones back in the 70s was the first one. And don't quote me on that, but if not, early 80s. And so you could, once again, for your panel indication or something, if you wanted it like a LED, which was like a warning indicator or something like that,
right.
and you didn't want it to just light up, you wanted it to flash, but you didn't want to
put a driver circuit, you didn't
put
need any customization, right.
All that, there were no little, 10-cent micros back then that you could just whack it in and do the job, right? You had to build up, a 555 timer and all the parts around and everything else, pain in the ass, right?
Yeah.
So so
even
you
a couple
just drop
transistors,
little...
which they probably put on the circuit anyways, right? It's basically implementing that on silicon.
It's doing that on silicon, and you could just drop in this LED into any existing thing, and it'd work, and it'll flash instead of stay on, and that was great.
Yeah, I'd never heard about that because I don't know when I would have come across it, So some people showed me about it, and they're like, yeah, it comes in like 0603, 0805 too. So I was like, oh, great, tiny, no problems.
But that's cheating, right? So you could whack one of those on top of a super cap, and that's it.
Yeah,
right. That's the entire. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little more boring, but I was thinking about that as well because that's the same kit that I started selling. So I started basically the video. So I did that whole thing for a in-person KiCad tutorial, and so I couldn't use a not working circuit, had to redo it.
Right.
And so I did finally, I started selling that kit, and there'll be some videos coming out about that in the near future. Looking forward to that. Yeah. And we could talk more about the selling stuff, but you wanted to talk about DigiKey. What about DigiKey?
DigiKey. I just last night, I just tweeted my excitement of this. Life-changing stuff for a nerd. You know how
Who uses DigiKey, right?
Right, yeah. I don't know how long they've had this, but I'm sure it wasn't there last time I used DigiKey, and now it is. You know how DigiKey, you go to the website, and you're doing your parametric search, and they've got all the 20 different fields. Normally that's horizontal across the screen, and you've got to drag the bar across, right, to see the other fields. Well, now it's all vertical, and you don't have to do that anymore.
Yeah, I'm just going to say, Dave, when I worked on stuff like this, you didn't get very excited about it. I'm just saying.
Well, okay. When you work for the man doing this sort of stuff.
I'm just, you're right. But I mean, come on.
Yeah. Anyway, I just thought it was really annoying. Oh, actually, the bar is still there. The horizontal scroll bar is still there, but doesn't do anything. I think that's a bug. It wasn't at home last night.
I think it's probably because they're probably seeing more people.
That's for the results.
Go on mobile. I personally don't do it, but if you think about doing that on mobile, it's got to be kind of
tablets or something. Something like that. Geez, you wouldn't want to do that on a mobile. You wouldn't want to be searching for
there's certain electronic sites I
parts and stuff.
Yeah, just completely avoid on a phone.
Almost all of it, I'd completely avoid on a phone.
Yeah. But I'm sure there's some legit reasons for it.
Factor.
And like some of the distributors are doing like app thingies, I guess, that like some people, like my buddy used the there's like a barcode scanner app you can use to reorder parts. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's all right.
But again, that's like on the bench kind of thing, and
right.
Yeah, it's not every day.
Like, still, you can't do this. Like, there's just so many parameters and stuff. When you're searching for parts, that's what you're doing. You're doing parametric search virtually every time.
Yeah, definitely. It's and that is a skill unto itself, right?
Yeah, so they could write an app, right? It could be the world's best app, the greatest user interface. It's still going to be shit because it just has to throw so much data at you, and you've just got it. Then nothing beats real estate,
Yeah.
right?
I
To
agree.
whack that on a big screen and
Yeah, I
Anyway.
mean, if it got it right, like say op amps, right? So you and I,
Yep.
if you were doing video work and I'm doing like precision analog work, we have very, very different requirements. However, we're starting from the same spot, and so like, how do you
Yep.
deal with that? It is just it's a butt ton of data. It's unbelievable. So
Can I have one complaint about this,
sure,
please?
sure, just one.
Is that I just realised,
buddy.
well, it didn't, well, because I was doing it at home last night and I've got standard 1920 by 1080 full HD monitors at home.
Ah, yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Whereas here I've got a full HD, a 2K and a 4K monitor, and I'm looking at
Oh,
this on my
fancy,
2K
fancy.
monitor now. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I'm looking at this on my 2K monitor and it's not the full width of the screen.
Hmm.
So they're actually doing the tabloid format in the middle.
Oh,
So
okay,
they're
okay.
wasting the space on the side.
You just got to
and
zoom
which
way in,
that's
and then
a-
the text will be huge. You know, then it'll help your old eyes,
and then you have to scroll more.
and then you don't need to wear your glasses. You know.
Right? I don't have to wear my glasses. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
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 So yeah. Anyway, how many decades did it take him to?
Yeah, that has been similar for a long time. Kudos. Hey, change is good, and it also gives us things to complain about later. So
Cool.
works out well for the amp hour.
I wonder how many people will complain about that. I think it's better, but there will just be people who go.
I
no,
think it's worse.
I use DigiKey every day, and
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's always the
I
problem.
just can't
It's like
handle this improvement.
anytime there's a change, it's like you gotta get used to it. You gotta get over the, like anytime a CAD program changes or an online program
Right.
changes, there's always an adjustment period. So yeah, I am selling things, and I wanted to ask you about that a little bit because you are a master of commerce, of course.
Don't
Don't do it.
do it. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a world of hurt.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, like, what would you estimate was your settling time into figuring it out? I mean, I know you have like a shipping person now, but like,
Yep.
how long did it take you to figure it out?
Oh, look, and it's never just once. You're always changing shit. I've gone through probably 4 or 5 different e-commerce platforms, for
Oh,
example,
yeah.
that I've actually used, because I'm always going, oh, this new one comes along, that looks a bit better, it might help me here, and then you switch over, and then you go, oh,
Right.
well, it's great here, but it's not so good there,
Right,
and
it's
another
missing
one
that
comes
feature,
along.
it's missing this feature,
Yeah,
right?
and
Yeah.
you just keep switching for various reasons over the years, and I think I've used at least 4, maybe
Oh, wow.
5
Okay.
different platforms, and then I'm shipping between changing between shipping systems and like couriers and their platforms are changing all the time. I've got to change with it, and so it's not just a matter of doing it once and you're set for the next
Right.
5
So
years.
it's not 6 months
No
and then
way.
you're settled. It's
No,
forever.
no. I would bank on having to completely change a system every 18 months, maybe. It's like the Moore's law of of e-commerce. Yep.
Okay.
Unless you went for like a completely roll your own, you buy one
God,
of the
no. Oh,
platforms,
no,
you
no, no.
customize it for yourself. No.
No.
Right? But if you did do that, then you could keep that going for a lot longer. But
Yeah, that's true.
yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. So I started selling on Tindy, which is something I've known about before, but I've never like pulled the trigger on it. That was,
I've never sold it.
It was pretty
I don't
easy.
think I've ever bought anything on Tindy. I'm not sure I have.
I think 2 weeks ago we talked about that that USB-C Explorer board that
Right.
former guest Jason Cerundolo was selling on there.
Yes, I remember.
So yeah, we talk. I mean, like we talk about a lot of people that are selling on there, and I was just hanging out with a couple guys today that sell on Tindy too, and like it's a good platform. It's some people just go on there and browse and buy. It's kind of like
Right.
also like Alibaba and as well, not quite the same level, right? A little bit more makery than just straight stuff.
So why would you use Tindy over eBay, for example?
Mostly if some things are only on Tindy, I guess that's probably it. Usually if you're Googling for something and you, that's why, I don't know about geographic preferences. So I think like in Australia, I'm not sure where you, like when you're buying stuff on eBay, you're usually buying stuff from China or are you buying stuff from Australia or what?
Oh, both.
Yeah. I'm surprised at that. So like some of the people in the Badge Life community, like they they people making badges, they kind of go all over the place. AliExpress, eBay, just wherever's cheapest. It's like that whole. It's really bargain hunting type stuff,
Sure.
And to be honest, I'm always terrified of that stuff, and I just go distributor. I don't usually stray outside of it.
I am doing more and more AliExpress stuff.
Really? Okay.
Like, yeah.
Why is that?
I'm like, I don't know. Like, they're just cheap, and there's tons of stuff on there.
So it's just
and
been
it's
working
almost,
out though each time. Like I think
it's been working out each time. I've
Yeah.
had no issues in the platform. It took me a bit of thing to get my credit card verified on there and stuff. But once I did, it just works. So yeah, I've been
So like what kind of
there's
like reels of components though, or like what kind of stuff are you buying on there?
Oh, we've bought parts, and not huge reels, but I bought a tray of chips on there.
Okay.
And just like other more obscure, hard to find parts. A lot of the like little modules and things are on there.
Yeah,
so
that's a big one.
I'm after a little, DC to DC converter brick or something like that.
Yep.
Like that's the first place I'm going to start looking.
Yep.
So yeah. It's huge.
Yeah, I mean, and that very easily could have been an eBay in the past, and it might be a Tindy, it might be other things like that. I mean, it might be a DigiKey or Mouse or Arrow.
That would have been that would have traditionally been a DigiKey or mouse. So, like, I'm still doing your DigiKeys and mouses and Farnells, right?
Yeah.
But like, if I know, like if I want like a guaranteed known part, right? But if I'm going, I just need the cheapest.
Right, you're like trying something
thing I
out.
can
You want to
get.
just
Yeah.
It's like you're shopping, right? I mean, like it's
that's right.
yeah. It's
and,
tough.
and I like their shipping options, right? Because they've almost all the sellers have the shipping option from free, right? Which is come
30 days
maybe
later,
maybe in the next 2 months if
Yeah.
you're lucky, but it's free, right? So if you're not in a hurry, right, it costs you an absolute pittance, but they've also got DHL. They've got reasonable price DHL options, and I've got the DHL guy coming here every day.
Oh yeah,
right. And it's like, that just like all of them just have these comprehensive, and there's like 3 or 4 different postage tier options you can choose from, and it's just great.
Yeah,
love it.
No customs issues,
So-
nothing like that.
No,
Okay, that's good.
because it's coming via direct courier.
I don't know what that means. Sorry. Like so.
Oh, well.
like versus what's the other option?
It's a door-to-door. Well, stuff like DHL, FedEx, and all those, right? They're full service carriers. What's called a door-to-door service, right?
Yeah.
So they pick it up from there and they deliver it straight here. There's no middleman. It doesn't get handed off to anyone else, right?
But how does that
I can
affect
get there in
customs? That's what I mean. Like that.
Oh well, no, you will get hit with customs if it's over a threshold, right? In fact, you're guaranteed. That's by using that door-to-door service, you're guaranteed to get hit with customs, right? If it's over the threshold, because those companies will do that. But most of the stuff is under a threshold, and it's not here. It's not too big an option, but they have started charging GST locally now.
Oh yeah.
Because Australia changed their GST laws.
Got it.
So goods and services tax. Anyway, it's
Yeah, I mean, that stuff will all be regional. I just meant like if it's getting held up in customs or stuff like that. So you're just saying that because it's going courier.
No, it bypasses like DHL. Well, it doesn't bypass customs like DHL and FedEx and all the other couriers. Yes, they have their own customs people do that, right? So they have their own clearance systems. It doesn't actually go to a government customs agent or a government customs clearinghouse first, right? So it's different.
Okay, so it's not going to get stuck in a port, that kind of thing. Yeah,
I've
had a set of boards got held up. I had DHL shipped from China, and they got held up for like a day, and that's not that bad. I've heard stories of things getting held up for weeks. So.
Oh yeah, no, that's common. Anyway, I just like the various postage options on there. If you want it within a couple of days, you click you choose the courier option. If not, get it cheaper.
I think it is kind of the it goes back to my theory of hardware people as cheapskates, right? It's not we don't have to be cheapskates, but because we need to buy stuff to not just service the products that we've already designed, but also the potential products in the future, we're bargain hunting. Like you don't necessarily, there's no premium brands, aside from maybe chip types where you're going to be paying more because of different functions. Like you're saying, like a 12 to 5 volt DC to DC converter, unless you have some very specific noise requirements, it's like who cares?
Yeah, right. No,
the one
if it's
that's
just a one-off project or
reliable
something,
and maybe has a common footprint that you could plug in multiple places. That's probably the best you can hope for. And then everything else is going to be like incoming inspections when you actually order a lot of 100 or something.
One of the downsides though of AliExpress is they often won't have it in stock. So it'll appear like they have it in stock, but then they'll say, it'll take 5 days to start shipping.
Yeah.
Because they've got to buy it from somewhere else, unless they're the actual dealer and manufacturer themselves.
Right.
Which a lot of the times they are. Like those little, I've done a couple of videos on those little power supply modules, right? I keep forgetting the company name. Those all-in-one power supply panel mount things. Right, so you can buy the complete module. It's a complete switch mode power supply in a little panel interface with the knob and everything, and you just stick it in a box and hook on a external power source to it, and you've got a complete bench power supply. Anyway, they design and manufacture those, and they sell them on AliExpress. That's the official place to go get them.
Oh yeah,
you know. So, and there's lots of companies doing that now.
Yeah,
like I just ordered a new inspection microscope, right? Which I'm hoping will be the duck's guts, right? It'll beat my $5,000 Tagano microscope. That's what I'm hoping, and I just ordered that from AliExpress, right? And the manufacturer of that's their official store, is the AliExpress store.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I was thinking I've experienced that too. One other. The official store being on AliExpress was maybe like the Zion, like the gimbal that I have.
Oh yes, the orange, what is it? The orange Pi that I've used before.
Okay.
One of those, Raspberry Pi rip-offs with the all-winner chipset. Their official store, AliExpress. You know, there's just so many companies.
Yeah, I think that's just the power of. I mean, Alibaba is just a monster. It's the 800-pound gorilla in China. So, commerce.
Anyway, I find myself using that just as much as Mouser and DigiKey.
Interesting. Huh.
So, yeah.
Trends. We would love to hear from people if they're, whatever you're using. Because that's the thing. Like if people have a new source, I'll be like, I'll go check it out, right? And then I'll probably browse around and maybe buy something just to see what the flow is like and that kind of thing. So.
Well, and it's the vibe too. Because if you asked me this 2-3 years ago, I would have said, "Oh shit, AliExpress, that's dodgy as hell. No way."
Yeah.
Like
right.
I'm just not getting a good vibe from there. Like, no way I'm handing over my credit card number to that dodgy looking Chinese site.
Right.
But you slowly build up confidence.
Yeah, that's true.
In it, and now,
And also, there's stuff, and we like stuff. That's the thing.
Our shallow
That's right.
first world lies revolve around
I don't even think it's a first world. I think it's just just hardware, man. Like what are we gonna do if we don't have stuff to build with?
True.
Can't make it all ourselves. So yeah.
Well.
Speaking of, are you guys moving forward? Like, so 2 weeks ago, you mentioned you and David are doing the custom power. I guess with power supplies, right? With the BH curves and stuff.
Yeah, we're doing that. We're still working on it.
Nice.
So it's a slow process. It's not. We're designing our own switch mode converter, and
Okay. Cool.
Takes time.
Making footprints, making CAD drawings, all that stuff. Yep.
Well, no, David's obsessed with simulation, so
got it.
Simulation world. I'm just going build it. You know.
Yeah,
build it.
I'm there too.
Yep.
I wanted to bring up. So someone had been asking on Twitter about this with CAD footprints and kind of like the legacy of how CAD footprints are spec'd, and I called it finding the centroid, but what did you call it? Just the center point?
The center point of the component.
Yeah.
Centroid. I don't know where you got that term from, but I kind of knew what you meant as soon as you said it.
Yeah.
I kind of implied that. Yeah.
Centroid, I think, is from the pick and place machine. I think that's what they call just the 0 on the part.
There could be. I don't live in the pick and place world, so yeah.
I don't either.
That could be the official term.
Yeah. But and so if people are not sure what we're talking about, basically when you go to look at a footprint that's spec'd on like a PDF data sheet, it will be, so they'll give you say it's a 8-pin SOIC style footprint, but maybe not exactly the same thing. They'll give you the length and the width of the pad, right? That one's easy. But then they'll show you the distance between the center of two of the pads from one pad to the next, but they won't necessarily call it out to the center of the part, the 0, 0 of that part.
See, that's the thing. I mean, I believe it is, yes, the official term is centroid.
Oh, it is.
You are correct. Yeah. You should have it on the center of the component.
Right. Because ultimately the pick and place machine is going to try and pick it up there, right?
That is the driver. I mean, the whole driver behind designing a circuit board is to get it assembled.
Yeah.
Right? And if you put the other traditional point, of course, is your pin 1.
Yep.
Right? People point it smack over the pin 1 pad. And that's like a lot of CAD packages will come with all their footprints like that as default.
Oh, really? Oh,
right?
wow.
Especially back in the day.
Yeah, I used to make footprints like that, and then I started getting yelled at.
Yeah. yeah, exactly. Because then the pick and place people just have to program that they've just got to go in there and every single component, they've got to change the reference point, the centroid point.
Yep.
Right? And it's just, it's annoying for them. Because there's no way they can use that pin 1 marker, right? That is useless to them.
Right.
Right? It's absolutely useless.
Well, and you could potentially do that if every part was the same size, because then you would then offset the pick point from the same amount, right? But because every part is not the same size, then it's like, okay, well.
But here's the annoying thing, right? From a PCB designer's point of view, having the centroid in the center of the part is bloody annoying, right? Because it's never because when you're placing your part, you've got a place snap grid. Right, so you got two different snap grids, one for your traces, one for your parts, and you move your parts around and you'll whack it on there. But then the pins won't line up with your grid, with your routing grid. Yeah. So you've got to snap to the pins, and it's just you don't get a warm fuzzy with that.
Yeah,
that's a good point. But you've got to live with it.
Yeah,
right. So
I think it's just a lot of
that's why traditionally all this was driven from the PCB layout point of view. So that's why pin 1 was always the reference, so that you know if you've got a 0.1 inch all through hole and 0.1 inch pitch, for example, then it was then your pin would end up right on the grid.
Yep.
And then all your other pins would automatically line up on the grid. And the same thing with surface mount. If you've got 1.27 millimeters, 50 thou surface mount SO packages, for example, you put the one pin down and then all your other pins would automatically be on the same grid. Mm-hmm. But your pick and place machine is now driving everything. So,
that's a good point.
The world has turned upside down.
And that is my question too, is why was this stuff spec'd like that in the first place? I had figured it was because of mechanical drawing standards, right? So how mechanical components are spec'd, but it sounds like it's actually
it was entirely pick and place. Yeah.
No, sorry. The drawings, right? So the drawings are not referenced to the centroid. They are referenced to, between pins.
Oh, the drawings in the data sheets you're talking about.
Right. Yep.
Right, the package drawings.
I have never seen a drawing, not never. I have rarely seen a drawing of a footprint, a suggested footprint layout that is referenced from the 0, 0 of the center of the part.
Right.
Usually it shows a cross point, but it doesn't do anything to that. So here's a good example, like the ESP32 footprint. It shows the relative distance between the pads on the outside of this module, because it's a module, not an actual chip. So it's a module, and then it shows what looks like the center footprint pad, right? Like a thermal pad that's underneath the module.
Right. Yep.
The center pad is offset. It's not in the center.
Oh, it's not. Yeah, so they
That's
will
terrible.
Put the center in. I know. It's
it's really bad. I mean, I got it wrong the first time.
Yeah.
Well, I think I got it wrong the first time, and then someone clued me into it, and I quickly changed it before I sent it off for fab. But you make these mental leaps that where you're like, oh, it looks like it's good. It looks like it's the center. Yeah. But there was no drawing there. There was no actual there was no, if I was going to call something out, I would call out the center from the center point of that part where the pick and place machine should pick that thing up to the center of that thermal pad. I would think that would be a very critical measurement. But I think from a mechanical perspective, they don't care, right? You can do whatever you want. Mm-hmm. It's an open season,
Well, I just opened a random 74HC00 data sheet from Nexperia. What a shit name.
That is what NXP became, by the way. Yes.
NXP, it was Philips before that.
They paid a lot of money for that, though. Like a
Oh,
lot.
Yeah, they paid some bastard,
Yeah.
like, $100,000 to come up with that name.
Yes,
I'm
they
sure.
did. Yeah.
Yeah, unbelievable. And it's got, sure enough, the center of the chip, the physical center of the chip.
It does?
But
where?
Yes, it does. It does have the center of the chip, but I don't see any measurements actually going out from that center, though.
You're talking about on page
center...
9 of 15? I'm thinking I'm looking at the same sheet.
Oh, okay. No, 10 of 15.
10 of 15.
Oh, yeah, 9. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah,
See,
and so,
it's got the center,
it shows, it marks the center.
there.
Right, it marks the center. And I'll link this data sheet too so people can follow along if you're listening.
Yeah, but it doesn't reference from that point, though.
No, exactly.
It gives you the pin-to-pin dimensions.
Right.
And these tables are actually rather standardized, and packages like Altium, like the Altium import wizard,
Yep.
the Altium component creation wizard, actually all these like letters and stuff that they use are kind of standardized. And, so if you see like a uppercase D, for example, then that should be the same in Altium as well. So you can enter the value in there, and then your part creation wizard will actually create your
nice.
Footprint for you.
Yeah.
So they're kind of standardized.
Well, I'm in the low cost region of KiCad.
Right.
So,
Right.
the wild
Anyway,
west of part creation. But this is a big...
Yep.
So, like, people were listening like, why do I care about this? It's like, look, if you don't have a part librarian, right? Some people are lucky enough to have a person who does this for them in a company, right? Usually there's process around that because, entering another part obviously costs more time in terms of checking, and also then usually you start studying up your supply chain through that person as well, blah, 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 blah. But if you don't have that person, like this is a huge thing. Like this is an investment that you make in your CAD program and your time in as an electronics designer, I think.
Of course.
Because that's something that you take with you from project to project to project. And once you find and verify a part works, then you're done. But yeah, it's
but how often do you find yourself reusing parts between projects? I find it's hardly ever. Yeah, I wouldn't even use the same processor each time. I might use the same brand of processor, but I'm going to
yeah, it's true. You're going to have different requirements,
right?
Exactly. I'd like to circle back to that at some point because I was thinking about the open parts library and thinking about like what's the project people could make with the open parts library. You know what I mean? Like it is like a lot of these common parts, and we'll talk more about it.
Yep.
But
who's driving that again?
That started from Seed Studio, and then...
I thought it was, yeah.
Yeah, so Seed Studio started that, and then they kind of let it float for a while, and then Octopart took it on, and they called it the Common Parts Library.
Right.
And then more recently, if people saw that DigiKey had released the KiCad library that was based on that. So it was like basically 1,000 components that are common components, and it was pretty much a crossover with the Open Parts Library.
Does that come packaged with like the latest KiCad install or something? Does that...
Which one?
Some common parts library, does it?
No. The libraries that are installed are just kind of like what's available. Like there are library maintainers for KiCad,
right?
But that's not.
Why haven't they just officially included this common parts library?
I think because of the breakout of stuff, right? So the common parts library includes like surface mount resistors, capacitors, all types of passives, but then also commonly used op amps that are not spec'd that well. And so instead, it's like because KiCad is broken out by footprint types, right? So,
and here's the inevitable problem: everyone's got their own way of doing things. Every CAD package has their own preferred way of doing things.
Yeah.
Everyone has their own requirements, and there is no. Everyone. This is one of the most common questions in the ECAD industry: is why isn't there just one component library and everyone contributes parts to that, and then
God.
it's the holy grail?
My heartbeat, and my heart rate just went up 10 beats per minute.
Exactly. It just
I can't even imagine.
In practice, in utopia it works, but in the real world it just falls apart. Sorry.
It's okay. I think it's good that I think that sponsored things like this are good though. So like DigiKey did the DigiKey library. I have a video about that showing people how to actually include it, right? But
they're not the solution for everyone.
Oh, definitely not. Right. And that is it's just one library. It's just like here's all the parts. It's 1,000 parts, and it's micros are mixed in with resistors, and so it's like, okay, well, that's not how I like to work personally. But that on its own is nice because it stores all the stuff internally to it, and it's a great starting place for people, I think.
And then there's the knuckle down fist fight between those who want to who believe in keeping component libraries and those who keep project libraries.
I don't know what the difference is.
Store your projects with your PCB file.
Oh, this is another thing I talked about
those people,
on Twitter this week. Well, so like I had received a project that had basically locally stored footprints and schematic symbols. You know,
yes.
that caches
and
it
some
locally.
people will only work like that. They will swear by it, and there's advantages and disadvantages to both ways.
Right.
You know, if people don't know what we're talking about, when you create a project, you know, you create a PCB and a schematic. You, in most packages, I believe, you have the option to store all the footprints and all the schematic components and bundle it into that project file.
Yeah.
Right? So it's all self-contained so that you don't...
Right, so Dave makes a file, he sends it to me, he makes a board, he sends me all the files for it, and then I open it up and it's just like it's the exact same thing.
It's the exact same thing. You don't have to rely on any third-party library dependencies.
Includes, right,
no includes.
No pointers to anything, it's just open it and it works.
All,
right. Did people go to the mat over this one? That's I didn't know that was.
Oh hell yeah!
Oh wow!
Oh yeah! No, this is probably the big differentiator.
This is the SciTech Electronics the mailing list. This is pages upon pages of vitriol.
This is the line in the sand that people, you know,
which side do you fall on, Dave?
Die over. I've done both. Like
I've died on the line.
Exactly. I've sat on the fence. Well, because sometimes you go to a new company and they do it a certain way.
Yeah.
Or you or you're working on somebody else's project and that's just, well, you just keep using, you know, they had it all packaged into one, so that's how you keep working. You know, you're not going to, most CAD tools will have a tool in them. If you've got one that's all embedded in the package, you will it'll be able to break out the components for you from that, and then you can save them as separate library files. And you're usually not going to go to that effort. You just go, well, you know, look, I'll just do it the way they did it. And
so that is the exact scenario that I've been in recently. Where,
right.
Well, so here's the thing. Like, so if you wanted to, so I had like something where I had like 20 of the same component on a board, right?
Right.
But because it's stored locally, I could either go in and individually change each component, or I could change the component it's referenced to.
Yes, right.
And so that's ultimately what it came from. Where I was like, I don't want to change each one of them individually. I want to just change it once and it updates all of them. And you couldn't do that. And so I was like, oh, okay. Well, then I kind of dug in.
Well,
and I was like,
maybe you can't in KiCad, but that's something you can do in Altium. You can, you can have the one part. You know, in fact, that's how it works. You don't go and edit each individual part. You can have the one
even if it's stored locally in the layout.
Yeah, because it basically has its own. It's basically still a library-based system, but it's just embedded in the project. Library. Yeah, it's like a local library. Basically.
Well, that could have been user error as well. It's very possible that was the case. But either way, I found myself
might be available in KiCad.
I found myself cleaning up.
Right.
I was just doing a lot of cleanup as well. You know, like.
But sometimes you do want to make that one change to that one part. You know, it's.
Like the outlier of the 20? So like
you're using 20 of the same part, but this part just happens to be right on the edge of the board and you just want to shave a bit off the pad, you know, on that one part.
Right. That one, that one part's always tombstoning because of the heat of reflecting off something else on the board or something like that.
Or you've got some other physical requirement or something like that, and you just, you know, don't have the luxury to, you know, spread your components out more or something like that. There's always some constraint.
Yep.
And that's just like people will die on this hill, you know.
That's fun.
Yep.
Are you out there listening right now and dying internally? We don't care. It's a podcast. We can't hear you right now. But our comment section can. Yeah.
Come on, it's all care, no responsibility.
Okay.
We care, or we'll pretend to care, but
but we'll do nothing to change our lot in life because of it.
Yep. But there's you cannot argue that one is better than the other.
Yeah.
Like you just can't.
Got it.
You know.
Yeah.
Under certain circumstances, you can. Like, you know, if you're in a large corporation, then really, if you're using individual project libraries, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
Basically.
Got it.
So
yeah, I mean, like, because then each time you start a new thing, you gotta then go and pull in all the parts you need, right? I'd say, yeah. It
and
depends
then you
too.
end up, you know, you've goofed where, you know, somebody goofed on some other project within the company, and then the result of that goof should make its way flow onto all the other projects so that they can't make the same mistake again, right?
Yeah.
So then that's the advantage of the of having, you know, a company librarian and a database of approved parts.
Yep.
Right, is that part is approved, is tested. We know that footprint's correct. Nobody's swapped the pin on it. It worked because it worked in the previous project, so you can simply reuse that approved part. And companies like IBM have been doing this since the 50s and stuff like that, right? They will have their own unique. Once a part is approved and
internal
signed
part
off,
numbers. Oh, man.
it gets an internal company part number, right?
Yeah.
And they will, you know, if you open up any bit of IBM gear or any bit of HP used to do this, right? Open up a HP gear, they will, because they order so many chips from the manufacturer, they get them custom silkscreened, right?
Yep.
So they don't have the part number, they get the HP part number. It's
not bad until you're trying to replace a part on your board that you don't have the info.
And it's a standard 74 HC00,
exactly.
right? But it's got...
You're
but
like,
you don't
come
know
on,
because it's got
is
this
just
HP
the same
part
thing.
number.
Right, exactly. Right.
Yeah,
you need
yeah.
like a chip analyzer to actually figure out what it is.
Yeah, right.
Oh, man. Yep.
I did a chip analyzer once.
Oh, yeah? Oh, cool.
Yeah. It's probably on one of my old websites somewhere. I wrote this software. I'll see if I can. I'll see if I can.
I think you may have mentioned that before. Was that like it? It wasn't a transistor tester, right? It was actually like
no. It was
I've
an
seen
IC
transistor
tester.
testers where it was like it was trying to figure out like which base collector emitter kind of stuff. It would basically run through different tests and do leakage analysis and all that stuff. But this is something different.
Right.
You're saying?
Yeah. Here we go.
Was it for like 14-pin dips or what?
It's for dip packages, yeah. Okay. And I've got a photo of the old prototype and the software. I was quite proud of the software. I thought the software was really jazzy. Here we go. How can I send this to you? It's coming your way. There you go. And I thought the software was quite...
AlternateZone.com, yeah.
And,
the classic.
1992.
Yes.
92 this was.
Oh, man.
And
this is deep dark web here, folks.
Yep. And that was like the first hacky print. It didn't even have a ZIF. Well, maybe it did have a ZIF socket, but I didn't have it installed because ZIF sockets were expensive back then.
What is Tronnort?
that used to be my company name.
Yes. Oh, man. We have a new episode title, Tronnort Software. Tronnort Software rises again. Yes.
Yep.
Oh, man.
Yep.
Classic.
If you want to know where that name came from, yeah, it worked. Yeah, it was great.
I do want to know where that name came from, Dave.
Well, Tron.
Like,
do you know where Tron comes from?
Like the movie?
Oh God, like the movie. You young whippersnappers, like the movie. Yes, it is, but it predates the movie.
Got it.
Right. Tron stands for trace on, which was an old command in BASIC. It was one of the, trace on command. It was, anyway, it probably predates, goes back to the VAX days or something like that, I'm sure. Uh-huh. Anyway, it was a command. Tron was a command in BASIC, trace on, it stood for. So you turn, it was basically software debugging. You turn on debugging.
Oh,
trace.
Okay. Got it. Yep.
Kind of thing. Yeah.
Sure.
And I liked perfect palindromes.
Oh, it's the same backwards
right?
and forwards. I see it now.
With the same number of letters.
That's right.
Of each letter. So that's the difference between a palindrome and a perfect palindrome. Mm-hmm. A perfect palindrome has the same number of each mirrored letter.
So the Panama Canal one is not perfect because it has one in the middle.
Something like that. Yes, that's right. It wouldn't be a perfect palindrome. Yep. Anyway, that's where that name came from. So.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
It just rolls off the tongue, by the way. Tronnort.
Right. Yeah. It was totally shit name, but I was like, 13, 14 when I came up with it or something,
man.
So it's just kind of stuck.
That's great, Dave. I love it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yep.
So what did the tester do?
Oh, it would automatic. It was fully automatic. So you would whack in your chip. You would whack in your digital chip on there, and it'd automatically search through the entire database of chips and figure out what the chip is.
Oh, that's cool. Is it?
That's
it was,
assuming it worked. Assuming it worked.
Right. It was standardized
the
enough
chip was
though
functional.
that the pin 20 and pin 10 were standardized enough that you wouldn't be.
Oh yes,
shorting stuff out.
You had to tell it which pins were the
Oh, okay.
which pins were pound. No, it could No, I think it could automatically even search that.
Oh,
it could
cool.
automatically apply different size power to different pins, and
Nice. And so this
Yeah,
plugged
I
into
think it
actually
could-
like a computer, and it went over like RS-232 or
Yep.
something.
newfangled RS parallel port, dude.
Oh, sorry. Hey, man.
Yeah.
Whatever. I'm sorry. I'm younger than you.
Serial port needs like a controller and shit,
Oh,
to actually,
Got it.
interpret serial commands and things. Oh, hell no.
sorry.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Parallel port. My bad.
Parallel port.
Good
yep.
luck finding one of those these days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, there you go. And I was quite proud of this. I thought that software was really groovy. It had it doesn't. You've only got the one screenshot of it there, but I thought it was like there was a whole database behind it with all the different chips, and it would automatically search through and apply power, and or you could manually test as well. I think it's showing manual mode there. It's showing manual like clock-in mode where you could go in and you could specify this pin's an input, this pin's an output, and I want to feed in a 1 or a 0, and then it would notify it to display or you feed in a clock, for example, and just feed in like a 1 hertz clock so you could see things happening and, stuff like that. So, yeah, it was an
That's
IC
awesome.
tester.
That's great,
Back
man.
when they were a thing because ICs were expensive. So if you wanted to desolder ICs from a board, you would whack them in. So you desolder them from the board, you whack them in your IC tester. You could buy commercial IC testers and you'd whack them in there and make sure the chip works. And then, yep, works. Okay, I'll put it in my component bins.
Nice. And then,
so-
component
And
bins.
then, the e-commerce revolution happened, and
You blamed the e-commerce revolution as killing the pulling parts off the board thing?
Well, yes, because chips were still they weren't. They still.
Oh,
they
so you're
weren't
just saying
that
the
expensive
dropping
back
value
then.
of chips. Okay.
Yes, because the availability
Yes.
of chips, right? It was all about availability. It wasn't really price,
Got it.
It was availability.
Got it. So it's
So,
a scarcity
you couldn't
problem
order
more than
online.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was no internet. You couldn't just order online, and your big catalog, and nobody had credit cards over the like buying stuff like that. You had to have a corporate account back with DigiKey or Mouser.
Sure,
Or,
yeah,
I didn't even know they existed back in the day because they were an American thing.
Right. Yeah.
Whereas here
Shipping
it was
international would have
Farnells,
been
yeah.
tough. Yep.
So like we had Farnells here, for example, and that was a thing. But they were expensive, very expensive. But you needed to set up. You had to be a business, right? You had to have a corporate account to, with a freaking credit facility and all the rest of it to buy one chip from them. It's
It's better. How about that?
it's better now.
It's much better.
It changed everything. Yeah. No, now that you can just go, feed your credit card number in to the internet somewhere and parts just magically arrive. Changed everything.
Yeah. Oh man.
So
It never. I mean,
Yep.
like I've ordered 2 sets of circuit boards in the past 2 days, and they're just like, "Yeah, we're just getting your way, no problem."
yeah.
It's great. I love it. It's awesome. Until it all blows up, of course, right?
Right.
Just in time is a great concept until when it stops working. Until lead times go out till 50 weeks, Ugh. That happened actually on the thing I'm talking on right now. I have a new laptop, and it's a beaut, but it because of how it works. So basically the The
What do you mean how it works? Don't they all work the same?
The solid state drive and the RAM are soldered directly to the circuit board, and it was a custom made or it was a custom designed, custom spec product, and so they actually had to assemble the whole thing. So it took me 4 weeks to get it assembled, and that's still, that's not bad.
Right. Oh, okay. Well, I think my Microsoft Surface is like that. I think if I opened that up, I wouldn't be able to like upgrade the solid state drive or whatever.
Yep.
I think it's well, you could, but you'd have to physically desolder chips on it.
Right. You have to call up Lewis.
Right, and hack it. You'd have to. Yeah.
You're like, hey, I got a job for you. Yeah. But yeah, I have my new I'm dual booting now, and so I have a Windows side for video and 3D CAD, and then a Linux side for troubleshooting and KiCad and Audacity and everything else.
So what size solid state drive did you get?
256 on that side of things.
Right, yeah. I just find 256 is enough to hold the operating system and every program I need to use.
Yeah, at least.
And then everything else like video files and all the other, space hungry stuff just goes on external drives.
Yeah, yep, exactly.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So I am excited to have USB-A ports again, although I'm now terrified of blowing them up. I don't know about you.
Did you say USB-A?
USB Type A? Yeah. So my last computer was a MacBook Pro. It only had USB Type C connectors on it.
Right.
Like the
is it right?
Like a traditional USB port,
yeah,
right?
right.
Yeah, that's what I mean by Type A, right?
Right.
So,
yes, of course. Yeah, I just.
Yeah. What'd you think I was saying?
I didn't know. I was just confused for a second.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have a solution for that? So I was just thinking about like plugging in. Yeah, so I use like my analog discovery too, and I don't think that thing's protected on like current, but like also just dev boards and other stuff. Like you never know what you're gonna be plugging in. Do you do anything for like current limiting or anything like that on?
No,
USB?
yeah, I just rely on the almost every USB port has overcurrent protection and stuff like that. So I just know.
I just don't trust myself. That's the main thing. I trust the computer.
Okay.
I don't trust myself.
No, they've almost always got a USB protection chip in there, polyfuse.
Yeah.
So.
But it's also
it's
pushing current the other way. You know what I mean? Like if I did something stupid, I don't know. I don't trust anything, Dave.
Speaking of which,
yeah.
Did you see my Raspberry Pi hat video? Power over Ethernet video?
Oh, I did actually. Yeah, I did watch that. Yeah, and so that was what was wrong with that? It was it's the newest version of Raspberry Pi 3, right?
It's the new version of the Raspberry Pi 3, and it has support for power over Ethernet, so that you can plug this hat on top of it, which they've now released the official power over Ethernet hat for Raspberry Pi. You buy it from them; it's the official, one.
And power over
it
Ethernet,
doesn't work.
remind me, is 48 volts. Is that right?
48 volts. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, it's actually from 37 to 50 or something.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
but it's a 48 volt nominal. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean it's interesting. I'm seeing power over Ethernet more places now.
There's a lot of people who hate it because the variability in the standards and stuff like that. And it is
DC, right? It's 48 volt DC.
It is 48 volts DC.
Yeah.
But you basically feed 48 volts DC up the clacker of the cable, and because it's higher voltage, you can get a decent amount of power over that.
Right.
Right. And
because you're going to be drawing less current, then you're probably going to convert it down, and then you do that conversion.
That's right. You can draw like 15 watts or something is like the minimum standard.
Okay. That's not bad.
Yeah. So it's a lot of power. Yeah.
So what were you looking to use this for?
They just. Oh no! So I wasn't going to use it for anything. I got quite a few emails, people saying, "Please check this out. It doesn't work.
Huh.
They've released this new hat, and everyone's complaining it doesn't work. Please investigate." So I rushed ordered one, and I investigated it, and then I blew it up. So I had to,
as one does.
So that abruptly stopped my investigation. Luckily, it happened right at the end where I was, looking to finish up the video anyway,
with a bang,
and make my conclusions. Yeah. Boom tish.
Yeah.
And as it turns out, just after I uploaded my investigation video, Raspberry Pi came out with their official investigation explanation.
Oh,
but
okay.
We don't think it's correct.
Oh. Who's we?
Yes.
This is like from forum people and everything?
And this is forum people. This is, the community.
The community.
Don't think it's correct.
The hive mind.
Yeah, because basically the explanation that Raspberry Pi gave, which seems quite reasonable, and it could be an issue, but I think there's more than this issue here, is that when you plug in a USB device into the Raspberry Pi, there are decoupling caps, bulk decoupling caps after the USB protection device that's used on the Raspberry Pi, and they were taking a surge of current to charge the bulk capacitors, and that was causing the chip to go into overcurrent mode, and then the Raspberry Pi would instantly shut it down and would report that through the thing. But there's a lot of people who will say, well, it just happens when I don't plug anything in. It's just sitting there. And I saw this as well. When it was just sitting there doing nothing, and all of a sudden you'd get the message, the overcurrent message. So
and this is
not that.
The thing that you referenced, quote unquote, the thing was through the UI, you're saying?
Through the console interface, yeah, it'll actually log
over
the
serial
error message
terminal
from the
something.
USB.
Okay.
Yeah, over the serial thing.
It.
So it'd log that, and it'd log that error message from the USB protection chip, apparently. So it just says overcurrent, and it shuts down the port, right? And
so the same kind of thing where it's trying to protect itself, but it's getting
it's trying to protect itself.
What is assumed as a false positive in this case.
Yes, that's right. But so they're claiming, the bulk decoupling caps were caught charging up and causing the problem. But myself and others have said, no, it's happening. That it could be one of the triggers for it, but it's not the only trigger. And I suspect, and some people have now starting to confirm this, that it was just excess noise on the 5-volt rail. Because I measured it like 300 millivolts peak to peak, and that's enormous.
Yeah, that's
right?
a lot.
So there's some other subtle thing which is causing the USB chip to trigger because it's got a dirty
it's like
power
noise,
supply.
noise fuzzing the input, right?
Yeah,
it's weird.
Yeah, so cause it, because if you've got a noisy rail, especially on a 5-volt logic rail, and you've got 300 millivolts of noise, that's enormous, right? So you don't know what your chip's going to do with that much crap on the rail. And
do they say what is it just from the switching supply that the 5-volt is that noisy?
Yeah, it comes from the 48 volts to 5-volt switching converter.
Oh, I got it. Yeah.
So there's a few people now who have hacked their Raspberry Pi hat, and they put in a big LC filter in there, and they said, "Yep, that solves the problem."
Yep.
So it wasn't. So Raspberry Pi did their big investigation. It turns out, well, I don't think that's the case. I haven't followed it since then, but that was the last update.
Okay.
Anyway, so not sure if they come back with another theory or not, but anyway.
More updates if you join the EV blog forum right there. There is a reason to join right there. Yeah. You can see it all in real time.
After we finish the show in a couple of minutes, because we're overtime.
Yeah.
I'm going to release my meetup video.
Oh, great! Okay.
For the EV blog meetup. So
nice.
Yeah, people were showing off their projects and stuff like that.
Awesome! I'm looking forward to seeing that. Yeah. That's always a good crowd.
We had a few. We had a slew of guest advertisers at the event, which people will like.
On purpose, advertisers or what?
Well, let's just say you have to watch the video. So.
Got it. Okay. Oh, the teaser there. Yeah, right there.
Yeah. It's about 10 minutes in. If you want to jump to, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes in or something, you can see that. But yeah, so I got some footage of people showing off their projects and stuff they bought in.
Yeah.
Some people just bought in like an old glass battery from the 1930s. Just cool stuff like that, right?
The junk collectors.
And an old 1970s, multimeter, from the Australian Army, and really, things like that.
I was quoting Greg Charvat from last week's episode today, and it was you have to make sure that your spouse or partner they only see 1 out of every 5 pieces of junk you bring home.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Yep. That's good advice. It's good advice. It really allows you to build up the store of stuff, for that.
Or just have your own cave somewhere, as I do.
There you go. Right.
I don't bring stuff home anymore. It stays at the lab, and she's happy with that.
Yeah. Especially with that huge ass Indiana Jones thing. Is that still around?
That's still in my bunker.
Oh man, that thing is monstrous. It'll be a sad day when
you visited my bunker while you were here.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yep. I've got in my hands right in front of me now. I've got the little rocket sled from Indiana Jones 4.
That does not exist, actually, Dave.
What?
That Indiana Jones 4 does not exist to me. Much like...
What? It's all right. People, come on, you got to admit the first act was pretty good.
Nope. I don't have to admit anything.
No?
Nope.
Really? No, it's
last week too,
But...
Greg brought up the prequels. What is going on in this show, Dave? Come on.
No, everyone's bringing up the prequels. You want to know why? Because the new Star Wars movies are so shit that people are going, oh, the actually those are prequels that we hated. They weren't too bad.
So it's just the the lovely patina of time that really gives that allows it to really make look
heals
nice.
All wounds.
That's right. Yep.
Time heals all wounds.
I guess so. All right, maybe I'll have to go back and watch number 4, which you claim exists.
The endings, the triple agent bullshit, and stuff like that, and the swinging through the jungle and stuff like, that was crap.
It's been long enough that I don't actually remember any of that stuff, so that's good.
Okay,
yeah.
Right, yep. I can remember I went to the premiere of that, and I thought that opening, so when the whole opening scene thing was just fantastic. It's just, it was classic.
Gotcha jazzed. Yeah. Yep.
Oh yeah. And then it kind of, the middle of the movie's a bit meh, and then the ending, jumps the shark. And everyone makes the complaint. Here we go. I'm going off in Indian because I'm an Indiana Jones fan.
We know, yes, who are. We know you are.
Yeah. And
every time there's a break in our recording, Dave starts whistling the theme song, and it is not good, but you could just tell how much he loves that movie. Those movies. Oh,
I often whistle it in my videos, tear down videos and stuff. and everyone said, "Oh, the interdimensional aliens at the end. What a load of unrealistic garbage."
Spoilers, by the way.
Oh yeah, well, what a load of unrealistic garbage, as opposed to the Shankara stones and ripping the guy's heart out. And
spoilers, Dave. Come on, man.
And all the other crap that was in the other Indiana Jones movies. You got to give me a break.
Give me a break. Yep.
It was actually more believable than the bloody.
I just like that Dave's really getting worked up about this. I really like that.
Bloody oath. This is important for us nerds.
That's great. That's great.
I think the interdimensional aliens are more plausible than the bloody Cup of Christ.
Dave, is it?
Give me a break. Speaking of interdimensional aliens,
I was going to try and segue to this too. Oh, that's awesome. Great. I was going to say, speaking of things that sound like it's out of a movie.
I was so obsessed with this. I had to know why. It was brilliant. The Solar Observatory.
Wait.
For those who don't know. What?
Are we talking about different things? We're talking about different things. Oh, okay.
Oh, what the hell were you going to say?
I was going to talk about SpaceX. What are you talking about?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was going to... Okay, well, we'll talk about both. We'll extended episode here of the Amp Hour today.
Right.
Right? And we got
people tuned out. They tuned out when we started talking about footprints. Don't worry about them.
All right.
Anyway,
okay,
so Solar Observatory. This sounds good. Yeah, I don't.
Okay, you're letting me go. Yeah. Okay, did you hear about it?
I did not. No.
Oh, in New Mexico, just near Roswell, right? Just near where the Roswell thing happened.
Okay.
At the White Sands Missile Test Base, there's this solar observatory, right? It's been there since the '60s, and it monitors the sun. It's one of the world's biggest, solar observatories, right? Okay. One of the world's most important. The FBI shut it down. Mysteriously just shut it down, evacuated everyone.
Wow.
Right? And they wouldn't tell anyone why. They wouldn't even tell the local sheriff why. It's just evacuated. Huh. Right? And so all the conspiracy theories start.
Of course.
And then, they've discovered the sun's about to blow up. There's a massive solar flare that's going to kill us all.
I think you just see like FBI agents being like, all right, well, I'm just going to go get drunk and what's the big deal here?
Right. And anyway, so this, for 5 days, 7 days or something, before it started hitting it shut down, and then 3-4 days later, it really started to hit the news.
Yeah.
And And they still wouldn't tell anyone why this place was mysteriously abandoned, just for security reasons, they said, right? That was the only official explanation. And then everyone started checking all the other solar observatories, and then the news started going around that all these solar observatories around the world, they've all gone mysteriously offline, and, which wasn't actually true. But
Sure.
Anyway, it made a great story, right? It fueled the conspiracy. And then there was some blogger or something, some YouTuber who took a photo of the sun or something, and they saw all these alien spaceships, these motherships heading towards the sun, and then this went like wildfire, right? And it's like it's fueling all this stuff, is fueling the rumors, and the whole internet's going crazy. And I even did my own research on some stuff.
Research, Googling, Dave. It's called Googling. And I was actually ready to like go find a local solar observatory so I could go visit and actually look at the sun. I was ready to stare at the sun nonstop.
Anyway, so I was ready to go on a field trip, and then they and then to fuel it even more, some guy actually, some YouTuber, not of any note, but he is now, I guess, is that he decided, well, I'll just walk in there and start filming around.
Oh, my God.
So he just walked into this abandoned facility, like they had roadblocked it, but there was no one there to stop him. So he decided he would just walk in there and start walking around with his camera and everything. Yeah, brilliant. But the place was completely abandoned. The houses, the people that lived there in the houses, they were all boarded up, and like it was all mysterious. And then he poked his camera through the window of the main facility there, and right there, like there was this trash can, close. An X-Files Ultimate Access DVD was sitting on top of the trash can, purposely placed so that anyone who looked through with a camera would see it. And so that fueled the conspiracy.
Oh my God.
Like,
it was all just a viral marketing
there was
campaign.
Trying to warn us.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, some employee there was trying to secretly warn us all that,
oh my God.
It was aliens.
Okay, Dave,
and we were gonna get invaded.
Punchline time.
Anyway, this was great.
Was there a punchline?
What? Nothing.
Oh.
No, there wasn't. It all petered out and it turned... Well, no, I thought the lead-in theory was that the Chinese had installed secret monitoring equipment at the facility because the facility overlooks the top-secret White Sands missile test base, right, which is where the US test all their top-secret weapons. So that was the most plausible theory. So we still don't know.
Okay.
Anyway, the employees have gone back and it's all like, I wanted it to be aliens.
Man.
It's just... Anyway,
In the second hour of the amp hour, it becomes a conspiracy hour.
All right. It all petered out, just like Fox Mulder, I want to believe,
Got it.
Just for kicks. Yep. Yeah, it's a smoking man.
Yeah. Oh, man.
All right.
Anyways.
Did you ever watch the X-Files?
I never did,
Were you an
no.
X-Files?
I was not.
Really?
I'm actually...
you don't get my smoking man reference.
No, I'm...
Right.
I'm a big wimp about, like, anything even just, like... I don't watch horror films. I don't watch anything with aliens in it.
Really?
I get freaked out real easy, so... Yeah. Yes, very much so. Whatever.
Anyway, let's quickly talk about SpaceX, shall we?
Sure. I mean, they're basically just sending some Japanese billionaires going to the moon, apparently, in 2023.
Well, no. Yeah, but it's not just him,
it's
right?
Not just him,
he's
right.
he's basically funding it. He's bought all the seats.
I found out about this from Cody's B Lab. Is that how you say it? I don't know how you say it.
Yeah, I didn't actually see the announcement when it happened.
Yeah.
It just snuck under my radar, and then people started tweeting about artists going to the moon.
Right.
And I went, what?
Right.
And sure enough, you check it out, and this guy he's not an artist himself, but he supports
a collector.
artists. He's a art collector or something, and he made his billions in the fashion world or something. Anyway, so he's funding the rest of the development of the BFR, apparently, the big effing rocket.
Yeah.
And and he's bought all the seats. I think 6 to 8 seats, depending on the configuration of the ultimate configuration, because they haven't finished designing it yet, right?
Right. Well, that's what's amazing to me is like 2023 is like not that far away.
No, it's not that far away at all. And he's bought all the seats, and he said, I will give a free seat to any artist who wants it.
Well,
And it's like, holy shit, like this is worth hundreds of millions of dollars, and he'll just give it to you for free.
Right.
So
Well, you
he's
have
going
to-
to
you have to
send
make
like
art
6
from
to
it.
8 artists.
Right.
Oh, yeah, no, you've got to come back and be inspired and create an art that changes the world.
Yes,
you
that's
know,
right, yeah.
That kind of wank.
Right.
You know, so.
and so Cody
Which I don't-
had proposed that a YouTuber
Right.
as an artist, and yeah, that's how I found
Yep.
out about the whole thing.
Oh, what he was
Yes,
proposing
he was. He was saying
himself,
YouTubers are artists, and I should go to the
right,
moon.
okay.
So that was
Yeah.
a pitch.
So everyone's jumping on board now. Everyone's, jumping on Twitter, and like a Scott Kelly, the famous US astronaut, he famously went on Twitter and said, "Hey, if you need someone with experience
nice.
to go." Because they didn't plan on sending astronauts, right? Trained astronauts. They
the
just planned on
computer
sending
will
these
drive.
artists, right? Yeah, if the navigation system fails,
whatever.
whatever. So he said, hey, if you need someone with a bit of astronaut experience,
There you
I'll
go.
happily go. I'll
Nice.
take the free seat.
Nobody turns down a free space ticket, Dave.
Everyone's and then there's a campaign to send Adam Savage. There's because he's like an artist.
I don't think this
He's
is
like-
what people are thinking about when they think about artists. I think it's
but he's I think gave like 7 categories of
Yeah.
art that he would
Yeah.
send.
I'm just going to call it now. I'm
Musicians,
going to make the joke
sculptors,
now because so many other people are going to be making the jokes.
Right.
It's like the Jodie Foster, like, shh, so beautiful. Should have sent a poet.
Ah, yes, of course they should have sent a poet. Yeah.
So now they are. Now they
Yeah,
are.
that was-
So I guarantee
Right,
that is not the first time that joke was made, nor is it the last time. People
No,
should
no,
prepare
I'm
themselves.
sure,
That
yep.
joke's going to be made a lot.
I thought of that. Yep.
Yep.
So, but it's very similar to Contact, actually. Now we've got this trip, and we've got all these, if you've read the book.
I have
you
not read the book, no.
Contact?
By Carl Sagan.
Oh,
your,
okay.
your
right.
son's namesake.
Yes, Carl Sagan. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And the whole premise, it's different. The book is different to the movie. In the movie, they've only got one chair.
Yeah.
Right? Where one chair in the spaceship which goes through the portal.
Yep.
And but in the book, it's actually I believe it's 5 chairs. Right? They've got 5 chairs, so all these countries are fighting. And in the book, in the movie too, they mentioned this. The Japanese gave up their chair so that they could get the systems integration contract. So
Yeah.
money
Yeah,
talks, right? Anyway, so the 5 chairs, and now it's a similar thing, right? We've got these 6, at least 6 chairs that are available, and like everyone's going to be fighting over.
Yeah, but for art, Dave.
who
For
wants
art.
to go? Yeah. Oh, for art, yeah, but I think most people, it'd be hard to find people willing to risk their life
Maybe.
to do that.
I think
Right?
that people sign up for that shit all the time. I think they'll chicken out eventually. I think that's
They might
easy to
chicken
say
out
you're willing to die
eventually, yeah.
for it.
It's easy to say, yeah. It's like the people who signed up for the
Exactly,
Mars One
exactly.
thing.
Right.
Like everyone was
Yeah.
signed up, right?
I signed
and
up.
it's like bullshit. You
I
wouldn't
wouldn't
have
have
gone.
I
Really?
signed up.
Really? You
Yeah, I
signed
would have
up?
chickened out. Come on.
All right. Yeah, of course you would have.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
Yep.
of course.
I think I'd do it if I was childless and, in my 60s or something. I'd probably go.
Yeah,
Yeah,
interesting.
definitely.
I think
wouldn't,
we are in the generation where someone's gonna have to make that choice for sure. Like the not coming back choice. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
The funny, have you actually watched the announcement with Elon and, sorry, I don't know the guy's name. I can't pronounce it.
I do not know his name.
Japanese name.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, I have not watched it.
Anyway, I haven't watched it all, but I watched, I sort of skipped through parts of it. And there was this part where Elon's going, in his typical Elon fashion, going, maybe we'll send one first just to test it, like unmanned first, but I don't know. It's like, it's one of those, like he wasn't sure if they were going to actually send one around the moon first as
got it.
a trial run.
Yeah.
So it's like,
It's Meizawa. That is the guy's name. So,
Meizawa.
yeah,
or something,
Meizawa. Yeah.
Meizawa.
Yeah.
Yep. And so I thought that was like, and the guy's just sitting there nodding. It's like, yeah, she'll be right. It's like,
Oh boy.
we won't send them up untested.
Yeah.
But if you remember the Apollo mission, they didn't send them up tested.
I do not remember the
Right?
Apollo mission, but
See, no.
yeah.
The first manned Apollo 1 after Apollo 1 didn't even get off the ground. The fire, of course, killed all 3 astronauts. And the first manned mission after that, they didn't, like the first manned one, they just went for the moon.
Yeah.
That was the Apollo 8 flight. They just went, screw it. The Russians are going to beat us. We're going, like, it was supposed to be like an orbital test flight, to test out the various systems that have worked. And they went, no, let's just go for broke. We've never sent a ship around the moon before, but let's just do it and put humans in it.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Let's just do it, and it worked. So it's great.
Space 2.0, man. We're there, or whatever 0.0 we're into. Yeah, it's weird times. All right, man. Well, I'm gonna do some terrestrial electronics now. I gotta get back to that, but I know, right?
I'm going hunting for aliens.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
These are definitely not 0G electronics I'm working on. So, all right, man. We'll talk to you next week.
Catch you next time.